This week I had the privilege of attending an online meeting of the Comparative Education and Students Critical Leadership Society of the Philippines. It was a formal meeting to introduce the new officers that had just been elected and for them to take an oath of office to affirm that they would keep up the constitution of the organisation. I've never seen a formal meeting quite like this one, but it seems to me a very good idea to emphasise the importance of the public service role of people who take part in these organisations, and it prompted me to make some reflections on what I'm calling learned societies, those groups of academics and interested people who come together and do such an important job of maintaining an intellectual field, any intellectual field, but my particular interests being in education and especially comparative and international education. I'm concerned about people who give their time in order to arrange for the circumstances to provide the infrastructure that allows the sharing of ideas, the interchange, the networking, the publication and distribution of those ideas. And this was a moment for me to make some comments on those activities. I thought what I would do for you this week is to simply present the extract from that meeting, my comments on the role of learned societies. It's an online recording of a Zoom meeting, so the quality won't be exactly the same as usual, but here are my thoughts. And I've chosen my topic as what is comparative education. That's always the question that seems to be bothering us. But from the particular perspective that there are three major organisational institutions that shape what our field is. And one of those are university departments. Obviously, academics work in university departments, that there be university departments and courses that are called comparative education is important. And the second strand is the books that are published by major publishers. Authors have an opportunity to say what they think our field should be and how it should go. But the third strand is organisations like yours, which I'm going to call learned societies as the kind of umbrella term. And it's notable, isn't it, that when Nilo introduced me, the biography did not include any of my connections with learned societies. You will be taking on, your officers are taking on a job that they will not be thanked for. It goes on in the background. It's terribly important, but nobody notices it. I've been a member of many comparative education societies over the past 50 years. I've been on editorial boards of society journals and I've been on executive committees, and I never talk about it because it's one of those jobs that has to be done, but it doesn't get you any credit on your CV, it doesn't get you promotion, nobody at your work will ever care that you're doing these things. But this is the stuff that makes our field, and it's why I joined the society that became the British Association of International and Comparative Education 45 years ago. I probably joined their executive committee 40 years ago, and on and off have done various jobs for the society, and am currently still on the executive committee of the BAICE. I have served as the secretary of the Association of Learned Societies in the Social Sciences here in the UK, and as that secretary of that organisation, was one of the founding members of the Academy of Social Sciences in the UK. I spent 12 years as treasurer of the World Council of Comparative Education Societies. I have worked in some of these areas where you are entering into, and I understand how terribly important it is that there are people who are prepared to take on the burden of organising our learned societies, because our learned societies are, you may or may not be thinking about a journal, running a journal, providing the staff who will be doing the editing. You may or may not be thinking of organising big international conferences which will attract large numbers of people. These are the networks through which we meet people and get to know people in other areas, and they are crucial to the good health of our field, that these societies exist and that they promote the activities that facilitate the exchange of ideas and the interchange between academics. Now, I think it's very important to mention what a learned society is not. It's not a political organisation, and it's not an ideological organisation. We are academics. We each have our own individual and conflicting opinions, and we have ways of expressing our individual values. So the societies that I'm a member of don't necessarily represent my personal views. I think that a number of learned societies have strayed away from this understanding and have tried to think of themselves as representing comparative education in such a place, in Britain or in the United States or wherever. And I think that that's not the job of a learned society. A learned society's job is to be interactive and open to a large variety of different opinions and to promote the debate and discussion that is the lifeblood of our field. So it's not about promoting a particular take. It's not about learned society. It's not about promoting a particular view of what comparative education is, but it still can carry with it a particular ethos. I'm particularly proud of working with the British Association of International and Comparative Education because we have a very strong ethos of trying to support students and early career researchers. And I think that that's the sort of direction an organisation can have and should have, not to promote this particular philosophical approach or that particular philosophical approach. But having said that, one of the criticisms that has been made of the field of comparative education as a whole is, of course, that it's Eurocentric, it's Anglocentric, it's white, and it's male. And I'm very sorry to tell you, I can't do anything about that. Anything that I produce, any work that I do, will be produced by a white, male European. What I do think is needed is fresh voices. And if an organisation like yours can promote the diversity of views, not to promote an ideology of what Filipino comparative education is, but to create a debate about what it could mean to take a view of comparative education specifically from a different angle, then I would think that that's a very worthy and positive goal that we should all promote and should all encourage. And equally, I'm sorry to tell you, I'm not going to stop working just so that you have a better chance, but I do encourage you to struggle all the harder to get your voice heard and to get your variety of voices, to get your collective and various voices heard on a worldwide stage. So I think that this is an incredibly important moment, a solemn moment. I have to say, I've never been asked in all these organisations that I've worked for to take an oath to say that I would uphold the spirit. But it's a solemn moment, and I am with you entirely in seeing this as an act of public service. So I'm very grateful to be here. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to reflect on what international organisations and learned societies do, the work they do behind the scenes in creating the platforms that our field can work on. And if I'm allowed to put in a small advert, I'd said to you, I think we're all individuals, we all have individual voices. And uh, I will be going next month to CIES in San Francisco, and because I want to meet all my friends who are there, it's not a, if I'm allowed to say, it's not a conference I looked forward to hugely, but I will see a lot of my friends. I know that. But I'm going there partly because I and some friends and colleagues had a vision of a world organization, not the World Council of Comparative Education Societies is an organization of comparative education societies. There are no individual members, it's societies that are members of the World Council. We had a vision 10 years ago of an organization which had individual members, a global organization that individuals could be members of. And we launched it as Global CIE 10 years ago this year. And sadly, in the past 10 years, there have been a few events that you will have noticed that prevented us from doing a lot of international activity with lockdowns and COVID pandemics. And we're meeting again in San Francisco with the ambition to relaunch Global CIE or restart, give Global CIE a new boost, because we think it's important that there should be a global organization which welcomes the activity of individuals at all stages of their development in their career. And that's what we're going to, and that's what I mean. An organization can have an ethos without dictating that you have to be a particular follower of this philosophy or that philosophy in order to be part of it and to be respected. So I hope that you will think, I hope your officers will think, I'm sure they have thought long and hard about what it is that your society is setting out to achieve and how best to achieve it. And I wish you all the very best in as you make your way forward in that journey. So I'm very proud to be here, very pleased to be here to take part in your oath-taking ceremony. Thank you.